Spotlight, lectures and performances on and around Albany State University.
Our speaker for today is Lieutenant Commander Chavius Lewis. Native of Sylvester, Georgia, Lieutenant Commander Lewis received his commission from Officer Candidate School in Pensacola, Florida in September 2000. March 2003, Lieutenant Commander Lewis reported to USS Cole, where he served as an Assistant Operation Officer. He reported to the commander at Chavius Group 1 4th Deployed Naval Forces in Japan in November 2014, where he served as Flag A until June 2006. Upon graduating from the Intermediate School, he reported to USS Cole as a weapons officer and later combat systems officer. Lieutenant Commander Lewis deployed with Cole in support of Exercise Joint Warrior 092 and Standing NATO's Mediterranean Group 2010 anti-piracy operation deployment. He reported to MSM's crew conflict in February 2011 as executive officer. Lieutenant Commander Lewis assumed command of USS Pioneer and MCM crew conflict on March 30, 2012. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Georgia Southern University. His awards include the Navy Commendation Medal and the Navy Achievement Medal. Following his tour as a Flag Aide, Lieutenant Commander Lewis attended the Naval Postgraduate School in California, where he earned a BMA in Financial Management and completed JMPE Phase 1. Lieutenant Commander Lewis is married to former Adria Darden of Athens, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lieutenant Commander Lewis.
Thanks, Tara, for that warm welcome and introduction. As she said, my name is Lieutenant Commander Chavius Lewis. I am a native of Sylvester, Georgia. My current job is I am the commanding officer of USS Pioneer. It is a minesweep, a venture class minesweep, home ported out of San Diego. I just recently returned from an 8-month deployment on February 27th, and I'm here in the area visiting family. And my uncle, Commander Clayton Williams, asked me to come by and speak to a class here at Albany State University to talk about the Navy, career decisions, mentorship, etc. So I'll cover my biography, and we'll talk about military service. We'll talk about some of the places I visited. We'll talk about path and success, keys to success, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. At any time I'm talking, please feel free if you have a question about something, whether it's something that I mentioned or an experience, or you want to kind of know what life is like in several places around the world. Please raise your hand. Feel free to stop, ask me, and we'll hold a brief discussion on it. Everybody good with that? Okay, so I'm a native of Sylvester, Georgia. So the message I want to give to you is that from here you can go anywhere. Okay. Takes a few things to get there: hard work, determination, and dedication. I graduated from Worth County High in 1996, went on to Georgia Southern, spent 4 years at Georgia Southern, graduated in 2000. Then shortly thereafter started Officer Candidate School down in Pensacola, Florida. 3 months, earned my commission, and then it was up to Norfolk, Virginia, where I reported to my first ship, USS Gunston Hall, amphibious class ship. Spent 2 years there in Norfolk, Virginia. Then I transferred to USS Cole right across the pier. Spent 2 years on the USS Cole. As many of you know, this is a history class. The Cole was the ship that was bombed in Aden, Yemen in October of 2000. So I got there shortly after the ship had been rebuilt. I did the first maiden deployment after the blast occurred on the ship. So places that we visited on that deployment were Italy, Spain, and Puerto Rico on our way back. So a pretty nice cruise and deployment, spreading the Navy's global force for good and keeping the sea lanes of communication open. And we'll talk a little bit later in the discussion about how the Navy keeps the sea lines of communication open and how that affects things from everything here, like the economy, gas prices, and et cetera. From USS Cole, I detached there in October of 2004 and moved overseas to Okinawa, Japan, where I worked for Admiral Vic Guillory as a flag aide. I lived in Japan for approximately 2 years. The highlight of that tour was in October 2004, 2005 or so. The tsunami hit Thailand. My boss was activated to go to Thailand and work as the Joint Force Maritime Commander, in which he basically delivered humanitarian assistance and disaster relief supplies from the sea into the shore of Thailand to help the people of Thailand recover from the tsunami. We spent about 6 months there, on the ground there in Thailand. It was a very interesting time. Got to learn a lot about Thai culture, enjoy Thai food, so that was good. After I detached from Okinawa, Japan, I reported to Monterey, California, to the Naval Postgraduate School, where I earned my MBA in 18 months, and I also completed my JPME Phase 1, which is our Joint Phase Military Education Program. The good thing about going to a lot of military schools for your master's, there's no GRE requirement, there's no GMAT requirements. Depending on your undergrad GPA, there may be some prerequisite courses that you might have to take as a refresher courses to get you back up to speed, because you've been away from school for 4 to 6 years, depending on where you are in your career timeline. Completed postgraduate school, then I reported back to Norfolk, Virginia, to the same ship that I had previously been on, USS Cole. I reported there as the weapons officer and later on served as the combat systems officer there. After I left Cole, I spent 2 years on Cole. After I left Cole, then I reported to my current ship, USS Pioneer, which is home ported out of San Diego, California. But we are a rotational crew, so I spend 6 months in California, and then I spend another 6 months in Manama, Bahrain. Anybody in here knows where Bahrain is? Okay, so Bahrain is a small island in the Middle East around the United Arab Emirates and Qatar. It is a central hub for the Navy and Marines and Air Force. We have a headquarters there. Commander 5th Fleet headquarters is there. So when you see in the news the things about Iran talking, just know that the Navy has a headquarters there in the region, and that's where they run all the command and control operations from. So that is my current job. Like I said, I just completed an 8-month deployment there as CO on the ship. Some things we did while I was out there, we participated in various exercises with other countries, India, Pakistan, Canada, Japan. And basically what we do is go out, sail the ships out. My class of ship is designed to find and locate mines, and we do that with what we have specialized equipment, remote operated vehicles that we use to find and detect those mines. Now, relating to finding and detecting the mines, how does mine warfare affect you here back at home in the United States and the global economy? Okay, so if the Straits of Hormuz or an waterway is mined, then large crude carriers that carry oil, carry other goods, cargo, cannot transit those waters. So what does that do if we can't get oil to the United States? What does that do for gas prices? What does that do for gas prices? Drive them up, right? So what are we paying now? About $3.50 or so a gallon. So you hear, if we can't get gas or oil to the United States to make the gas, then that's going to drive gas prices up. So the U.S. has a few ships that is our mission, to go out, search, locate, destroy, and neutralize mines to help prevent gas prices from going up, and also help us get the goods that we need into the states that we are importing into the states made by other nations. Okay, so that's my bio in a nutshell. I'm still the CEO of Pioneer. Currently on leave. Go back next week and get back to the mission of finding and locating mines. So now I'll talk to you about the path I took to becoming a naval officer. I graduated from Georgia Southern in 2000. I earned my degree as Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science, so kinesiology. At the current time, when I was looking to graduate, I completed an internship at Candler Memorial Hospital in Savannah and was looking for a job. Had a couple job offers in Savannah, had one in Richmond, Virginia, and my uncle encouraged me to take the officer candidate school test for the Navy. And I did so. I took the test. I decided to join the military, and 3 weeks later I was gone, and I reported to officer candidate school in Pensacola, Florida. I did a 13-week, basically 13-week boot camp for officers down in Pensacola, earned my commission, and then I got started on my way. Some advantages of the military: at the age of 22, I was in charge of 35 personnel. I had assistance from a chief petty officer and a first-class petty officer who were, at that time, the chief probably ranged in age. He was probably around 35 years old, and the first-class petty officer was probably around 30 years old. And here I was, the 22-year-old, directing them and telling them what to do. Now, they offered assistance and helped me transition into what I should be telling them, but that was a great sense of responsibility and pride that I had. At 22 years old, I had 35 people working for me, and I could sit down, plan, and manage their schedule and help them achieve the missions of the ship and the U.S. Navy as a whole. There were difficult times, I'll be honest. There were, it was, some insubordination at times where, I had to put my foot down and say, hey, we're going to do it this way because I'm in charge. But that came with the responsibility of being a commissioned officer in the United States Navy. After that, the responsibility was one thing. The work hours, they were great. You typically worked a 10-hour day. In the Navy and all branches of the military, you usually start a little bit early in the morning. So my typical work day, we started with meetings and briefs at 7, and then we would end up around 1700, which is 5 p.m. for military time. And then it was go home, spend time with your family, and then come back and do all the things over again the next day. Deployments, I've been on 5 deployments with the Navy. I've seen all of South America, so Rio de Janeiro, Colombia, Argentina, Buenos Aires, Puerto Rico, Chile. I've been all of South America. Europe, I've been Italy, France, Germany. In East Asia, I've been to Hong Kong, the Philippines, Australia, Guam. So pretty much I've traveled all over the world. I'm not sure if I hadn't joined the Navy, if I would have, at this point in my life and career and age, I don't think I would have visited or seen all those places. So it is a very interesting dynamic when you travel to different countries and you learn and observe their culture. You learn and observe that, you get to experience their food. You get to interact with them. You get to see their militaries. You also get to see their civilian sectors and how they interact with their government. And just, know here in the United States, we have it very good. A lot of countries, you don't have the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion expression that we have here in the United States. So I'll move on and talk a little bit about the path and keys to success. As you all know, the world in the civilian sector and the military sector now is very competitive, right? Everybody's looking for the best and brightest, right? So, when you're applying for that job, or if you're applying for a program, whether that internship, etc., then you're competing. Okay, so what can you do to make yourself better amongst the competition when you apply for that job? Hard work, determination, and dedication. So hard work meaning studying and earning the highest GPA you can. Okay, when companies look at your resume, they look from 4.0 on down. Okay, I'll be honest, I was a 2.5, 2.7 guy when I graduated Georgia Southern. That was me. I was a little hard-headed. I didn't quite make all my classes. There were some Friday classes I missed because of some Thursday night parties. Okay, so so I get it. I know what you're going through. been there, done that. I had that t-shirt. But in the long run, looking back on it, you know, I would have rather made Dean's List every quarter or semester than have to worry about getting waivers or have to have somebody call on my behalf to say, you know, he's a really great guy. You know, don't just judge him by his grade point average. He's really smart. He catches on quickly. He works hard, but don't judge him by his GPA. Okay, so what I'm here to tell you is work hard and study hard now to pay those dividends later on in life. You might not realize it now, and you want to have fun, and there's a time and place for fun, okay? Study hard, earn your GPA, get good grades now so you can land that good job. Once you land that good job, continue to be dedicated, meaning putting in the long hours, okay? Advancing your education and moving up the corporate ladder, because all that's going to pay dividends for you later on in life. Okay, you'll earn the salary that you want coming out of college. You won't potentially have to have 2 jobs coming out of college to make ends meet if you put in the time and effort now. Pay your dues now while you're young, so your future and success is set up for you when you're older. In addition to that, think about the things you want to do when you get older. What do you want to do when you get in your late 20s, early 30s? You want to start to get married, have kids, etc. And when you do that, you want to be financially comfortable and able to support all those means and things. You want to be able to take vacations, etc., right? So you want to be able to do all that stuff. So put in the time and effort now, study hard, work hard, because it's competitive out there. So back to the GPA. So, you know, you go in, you apply either for the military or corporate office, you get the stack of 4.0 GPAs, you get the 3.0s, and then you get the 2.0s or 2.5s and greater. Okay, it's separated in 3 stacks. So who do you think they're going to pick first? Who do you think they're going to pick first? They're going to pick the 4.0 person, right? Because seemingly they're perfect. Okay, you could be just as smart as that person. You can have just as much determination, effort, etc. as that person, but what do they see on paper? They see that 4.0 grade point average, right? GPA. GPA carries everything, right? That is essentially your kind of almost social security number of your college career, right? That is what you're known by, your GPA. So if you don't have a good GPA, what do you think you're gonna have difficulty finding a job, or you're gonna find a job with ease? Difficulty, right? You're gonna have to call in some favors. You're gonna have to have somebody call in on your behalf to say, hey, I have this guy or girl, a great young, excellent student, very smart, intelligent, catches on quick. I need you to do me a favor and see if you can get him or her a job. But if you have that 4.0, then you're at the top of the stack, and then you're evaluated. Once you get the job, you're evaluated on your future potential to earn that company money or help that industry earn money. Okay. So what we look for in the military, to become a naval officer, you have to have a bachelorette degree. GPA, they take GPAs from 2.0 all the way up to 4.0. So if you have a 2.0, you could qualify. Your job, or in the Marine Corps we call it MOS, will depend on how well you score on the officer aptitude test. So you would take the officer aptitude test, and depending on what you score, then that's what they would categorize you as to what jobs you're eligible for. For those that are interested in taking that test, there are books out there and study aids out there that you can buy from the Barnes & Noble and the Walden bookstores that will help you study for those tests. There's also, if you want to become a pilot, there are also books out there that'll help you study for that test too, because it's a separate test required if you want to become a pilot. So back to the competition piece of it. Okay, so how do you think you're going to fare against somebody that say might be coming from a bigger university with more notoriety than Albany State if you have a mediocre GPA? And it just doesn't have to be for a job. It could be for an internship. It could be for a fellowship. How do you think you're going to fare? You're in that stack because you got the 4.0, right? But what do you think somebody might say when they open up your transcript and say Albany State University? What do you think? Do you think you're going to have to prove yourself? Yeah. Definitely, right? Hey, I came from small town Sylvester, Georgia. When I got into the Navy, I had to prove myself. Okay, it was basic skills that I learned in college, but I had to prove them. There were questions related to my job that we would have to do quick calculations when driving the ship, what we call mental math, and I had to know that stuff. Everybody else knew it. The other schools knew it. Guys with alumni from the other schools knew it. So you have to prove yourself. And along those lines of proving yourself comes with your background, your experiences, and the culture and that you've grown up and related to. Yes.
Lieutenant Commander Lewis, can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned you're from Sylvester, Georgia, a really small town. Can you talk a little bit about how being from that small town and then going, you mentioned you've been to Japan, lots of places in Asia and South America. Can you talk about how coming from that small town and seeing a lot of the world, how it changed maybe your perception of life here in America, or did you experience culture shock, or how did that work?
So coming from Sylvester, Georgia, I was used to, I grew up on a farm. I didn't party a lot because it wasn't a lot of things to do around here. I would kind of say I was set in my own ways as far as, culture, the way I dressed, the way I talked. And I'll start with just the experience of moving into the United States. So when I moved to Virginia from Southwest Georgia, and I would, meet other people and I would talk to them the way, what do you think they said about the way I talk? You have a heavy country accent. So that was probably the first thing of meeting people from Northern Virginia up to Rhode Island, etc. It's like, oh, wow, you're a country because I know you're from the South. And that's just learning like how people dress, how people carry themselves, how people talk, how people handle business, etc. was a big culture shock to me in the United States as to things like that. So overseas, I would say, and I'll try to break them down by regions. Asia and the Pacific region are really prompt. They're really prompt and professional. The Japanese are, if you have a meeting at 10, they're going to be there at about 9:55. They'll be waiting. There'll be water, coffee, tea, refreshment set up. We're very prompt and punctual and professional. A lot of respect. When they shake your hand, they bow as a sign of respect to you. So that was one thing that I learned about Japan. Crime was really low. There was not really a lot of crime in Japan. I mean, I remember oftentimes that, I lived out in town on the economy. I would leave my car locked and come back the next morning, the car wouldn't be gone. Nothing from the car would be removed. They're very respectful. So that was a few of the cultural differences that I learned. Moving over into Italy, and obviously the food, food's different. They eat a lot of fish, sushi, etc. So moving over into Italy, they were not as punctual as I would have expected. A lot of the Italians, their interactions with the military were always punctual. But if you would go, say for instance, to a restaurant, and it's probably just part of their culture, they didn't eat until like 9 p.m. at night. So if you were hungry, you would probably be best to get you a snack during the day while you're on base to hold you over until you went to dinner. As far as culturally, I didn't, just visiting around the city, the cities were fairly clean. They drove really fast and kind of had some crazy traffic patterns. You'll see in East Asia, they take a lot of motorcycles, and they have the little ride-along carts on them. As far as that is used for taxis and cabs. But and then South America, the culture was it was different, to say the least. Climate-wise, the weather is similar to here part of the year, and then as you drop below the equator, it gets a little bit different. But I would say that out of all those cultural experiences, I never really had a problem with English, because most people, if English wasn't their first language in that country, it was a very close second, and most of the people were fluent in both English and their native language. So we would always, in the military, we always kind of have a little phrase book where we can say we learn common phrases like thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, where's the restroom, things like that. We kind of have a little phrase book that we keep on us. So when we go there, we can ask those questions. Then it also makes us seem like an ambassador as well, so that we're doing great things in their country as well. So I'll ask you guys a couple questions. Do y'all have any mentors? Who's your mentor? Who? So what is your mentor? What role does your mentor serve to you, and how often do you interact with your mentor?
Serve as a leader, interact whenever.
Okay. Do you call them, discuss important career decisions or opportunities that might be on the horizon, or just talk through what if you have a problem or an issue with something, you're kind of having a tough time making a decision? Do you call and talk to your mentor about it? Okay. I would say for me, I've been very successful in using mentors and being able to rely on them for a variety of things. I would say, big career decisions, family decisions. I've been able to call them and say, hey, sir or ma'am, here's what I'm thinking about. I had this situation. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Can you give me some feedback or recommendations on if those were good decisions, or should I start going down another route, or should I look to another path for a solution? And without, mentors, they can be anybody. If you're a female, you can have a male mentor, and if you're a male, you can have a female mentor. They could be of any race and color. It could be somebody you trust, somebody you admire, who has, probably you would like to say a little bit older than you, who has been through those experiences and who is successful. So, that is one of the things I want to leave you all with, is that if you don't have a mentor, please try to pick and find a mentor. It can also be your parents. Your parents can also serve as a mentor to you. So use that mentor use them as a sounding board. Okay, just like you all talk amongst yourselves as peers, colleagues, etc. Use your mentors to talk, important decisions, career decisions, etc. And keep that line of communication open with them frequently. It could be a professor. Don't just call them when you always, have an issue. Call them just to say hello, etc. And then when you do have issues, they will gladly always help you work through those issues. So, do I have any people here in the military, Army, Navy, Marines, Reserve, or prior military personnel in the room? Anybody wanted to join the military coming out of high school? Why did you want to join the military coming out of high school? To travel the world. Like I said it earlier, right? I'm not sure if I hadn't joined the military, if I would have been all the places that I've been. It is an excellent opportunity to travel and see the world, and see the culture, see the people, and spread diplomacy throughout the world. Why were you going to join the military?
Because I had did 4 years of ROTC in high school.
Yep, Junior ROTC is a great program to introduce you into the military as you're in high school and you're planning to join. One other advantage of the military is that after, everybody knows, after 20 years of service in the military, you get to retire with 50% of your base pay for the last 3 years that you're in the military. So that is another incentive that, you know, a lot of people, you know, once they join, they decide to actually stay in the military due to the retirement and eligibility benefits. So, you know, for you, you know, if you're thinking about it, that is another incentive for you to consider that, you know, once you decide that you're going to do it, then stay in it for the long haul. May be difficult with assignments, etc., but, you know, at the end of those 20 years, you can look back and say, I proudly served my country for 20 years, and now, you know, I'll receive a pension for the rest of my life. Okay, so at this time, I'll open up the floor for questions that you may have of me, and we'll take a quick question and answer period.
I have a question.
Okay.
When you first decided to join the Navy, I'm sure you knew you have to leave the country. Were you nervous? Did you have any fears about initially leaving the country?
I did. I think my mom was probably more nervous than I was about, you know, leaving the country. At the age of 22, 23, I was just eager to see the world. And it was, okay, I want to go see what that country's like, you know, how many people are there, what type of food they eat on a daily basis. I want to see what type of stores they have, etc. And that is another thing, to go back to your question. You know, I was surprised that, you know, going into these countries and going to the malls and going to the historical districts, I mean, they have everything that the United States has. So, you know, when you go to Hong Kong or you go to the Bahrain or you go to South America, I mean, the same stores you see here in the Albany Mall, or if you're from Atlanta, Lenox, etc., you know, you see those stores there. You see the H&Ms, you see the Gaps, you see the Foot Lockers. I mean, they're all, I mean, they have it all in their malls as well. Granted, the prices are in their currency, so you have to kind of do some quick math to calculate the prices in their currency. But yeah, they have all that in their malls, etc. So it's you know, the McDonald's, Starbucks, they have all that. And, you know, a lot of, despite what you might see on television, all that stuff is there in those countries, because, you know, the DHLs, the FedEx, I mean, they fly everywhere. I mean, we can get mail 24 hours. If my mom needs to send me something, next day delivery, you know, where I'm at, she can send it next day delivery, because DHL will bring it to the local airport, and you go to the local airport and pick it up.
You explained how you had many encouragers and mentors, but then you also explained how you started from such a small place. You know, once you get somewhere in life, you always have certain people in your corner who really aren't encouraging you. You have a lot of people who, I guess would say, was jealous about you making it so far. They weren't really encouraging what you were doing there.
Well, I wouldn't, not that I know of. I'll be honest, I would say not that I know of. I mean, I think that, you know, you eliminate that by surrounding yourself by good people. And those good people are your mentors, your family. Because let's face it, without my family, I couldn't have made it to where I'm at today. I mean, they sacrificed the last time I was here in Southwest Georgia was a little over 13 months. So I don't get to come home often, but, you know, my family knows that I'm out doing my job, and I'm out being able to help potentially provide for them as well. So you eliminate the as we say, haters, by surrounding yourself with good people. And, you know, you when you put it into reality, if somebody's not happy with you and what you're doing about serving your country, then do you really want to associate with them?
Thank you.
Yes.
I've always wanted to know, and I know this fits your situation, I've always wanted to know, what made you decide to join the military after you graduated from college?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question. Okay, so if you join the military out of high school, then you go into, the military is divided into two kind of separate rank structures. Okay, you have enlisted personnel and officer personnel. Okay, so as we talked about previously, the officers are required to have a college degree. Okay, and that college degree can be political science, general studies, in my case, exercise science, international studies, etc. But you have to have a bachelorette degree. So you move the guys and girls to have bachelorette degree over into the officer ranks. Okay, so those that come in out of high school or those that go to college and have not completed their degrees and they come in into the enlisted rank structure. Okay, and depending on what program you fall into, you start out as E1 and you can go all the way up to E9. Okay, excuse me. For the officer ranks, you start out as O1, ensign, or second lieutenant, and you can go all the way up to O10, which is admiral or general, depending on what branch of service you're in. So separated by college degrees. So college degree, officer, not college degree, enlisted. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean you can't join as enlisted and get your college degree later on. We have several programs for that, but as me talking to you and encouraging you, I would encourage you to enter the service as an officer, whether it's Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. The pay's better. Like I talked about, you get that responsibility. You're a manager. If you join enlisted, you're essentially a worker. You're the actual guy or girl that's doing the work on whether it be equipment or servers, depending on the nature of your job, you're actually doing that. Whereas if you're an officer, you come in as an officer, you're managing that. Okay, you're scheduling that to get done and perform.
So is that what made you join the military after you graduated from college?
Yes, that being an officer, and like I said, my uncle was one of my mentors, and after numerous conversations with him about it, I figured that was what I wanted to do, and that was the way I wanted to go. Okay, and I'll be honest with you, right? You have to find what motivates you, right? At that time, I was 22, 23. What do you think motivated me? What do you think? Females, yeah, females, yeah. I gotta be honest. I talked about the Thursday night I talked about the Thursday night parties that I missed some Friday classes as a result of, right? So, okay. So at that age, money motivated me, right? I wanted to make money so I could have a nice vehicle, have a nice place to live. So it was okay. If I joined the military, then I would be able to provide all that stuff for myself and not have to ask my mom to help purchase a car, purchase a vehicle, or help me get my first apartment. I would be able to afford all that on my own. Yes.
Did you ever get to fight as an officer?
Hmm?
Did you ever get to fight as an officer?
No fights. So, no fights.
Where you see the best looking females at?
Say again now. Best looking females, South America. So, you go to the Rio, you go to Chile, you go to Colombia. They're nice looking females there. Yes. Okay, so what made me choose the Navy? As I told you before, my uncle was in the Navy. I had uncles that had served in the Army, but when I started looking at it, okay, I looked at the Navy where I can, be on a ship and be on water, or I could be in the Army or Marine Corps and sleep in tents, or be out in the field digging foxholes. And I done all that stuff from being a country boy, so kind of wanted to see a little something different and sail the high seas. So that is why I chose the Navy.
All right, good question. Okay, so I did my 4 years in high school in the Army branch, whatever. But I'm enlisted in the military, in the Air Force branch after I graduated.
Okay.
Will that Army branch of those 4 years, experience or whatever, will that still carry on to the Air Force?
I mean, I think that you'll always carry your junior ROTC experience with you. You always carry your military experience with you, as far as the being able to be disciplined, the be able to show up on time, to be able to be physically fit, And I think you can carry that over. Now, whether some of the traditions and cultures, you know, or what we call military jargon or language, does that transition over from the Army to Air Force? I'm not sure, because I think they have different terms for what, you know, what they use to call things. But I think that your JROTC experience and your military experience will definitely help you out as you transition from Army to Air Force, or Air Force to Army, or Army to Navy, etc. I'm sure you guys probably see with the Army ROTC here, they're up early. They're running. Probably they do physical training 3 times a week, if not more. They're up running, and then they go back home, shower, and go to class, and then they probably wear their uniforms at least 1 time a week. So I think that the discipline that the military provides and the structured lifestyle is definitely a help to some who might be lacking that discipline or in their life, or need to have a structured time frame to help them complete tasks on time. Yes.
What was your training? Like, I know you said you went in as an officer, so like people that go in as enlisted, they go through like basic training and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So when you go into officer candidate school and when you go into boot camp, okay, they teach you various things. They teach you how to salute when you have your cover on. They teach you how to dress and prepare your uniform. They teach you how to fold your clothes. They teach you how to make your bed. You do a lot of physical training there, which is always not pleasant. Sometimes with drill instructors yelling and screaming in your face. But you just have to put it in the back of your mind. There's this old saying, "This too shall pass." You just kind of put that in your back of your mind. And they don't mean any harm to you. It is just indoctrinating you into the military climate and culture, and getting you to live that structured lifestyle that we live in the military. So definitely not hard. You can do it. You just put your mind to it. But those are some of the basic things they teach, and that's just kind of the military side of the house. And then they obviously teach you other stuff as far as once you get into your specialty, as you're related to your job, you'll get additional training that's more focused on what specific job you're going to be performing in the military. Yes.
Since you enlisted into the Navy as an officer, did you have to go to basic training?
Yes, I did, and that's what so at my basic training, I went to it in Pensacola. I showed up on a Sunday. I checked in, and they issued us a uniform, which was a white T-shirt and what back then we called a poopy suit. It was a white T-shirt and green cargo pants, and then we had a silver helmet, and a canteen for you to put your water in. And for the first 2 weeks, that is what you walked around in. They issued you like 3 pair of pants, and you got 3 pair of T-shirts, and you got a pair of New Balance running sneakers. And that was your uniform for like the first 2 weeks. And then at the end of the first week, they brought everybody in, and you would go in and get fitted for your khaki uniform, which is what we wore at the time there at basic training down in Pensacola. You go in, you get fitted for that, and they teach you how to iron that. Like I said before, they teach you how to make a bed. They teach you how to fold and prepare your closet for inspection. And then once you get ready to graduate OCS as an officer, then they teach you how to go in and inspect the enlisted barracks and inspect enlisted guys or girls uniforms that'll be working for you, so you know what's allowed and what's not allowed for them to wear, how they can wear their hair and uniform, etc.
Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Commander Lewis,
Oh,
on
thank
behalf
you.
of Global Programs, for sharing your journey to being an international citizen. And on behalf of Albany State University and the Office of Global
thanks.
Programs, we want to present you with this plaque for being the first of our international speakers in our International
Thanks.
Speaker Forum.